15 minutes to 10. Tens of thousands of children in the UK sustain burn injuries each year. And now researchers are hoping that by mapping the DNA of those who have been scarred, they'll help develop better treatments in the future.
5-year-old Elizabeth was severely burned in a house fire when she was just 6 months old. She's with us now. Her mum, you just saw a moment ago, she stuck her head right into the camera angle. Sinead is here now. Dad, Liam, as well. Elizabeth, good morning to you. And also with us is Brendan Ely, who's from the charity Scar Free Foundation.
Morning.
Lovely to see you. Elizabeth, can I ask you a question first? Who's this?
Lavender.
Lavender? And is lavender your special thing? What's so special about lavender? Why is lavender here today?
'Cause she's my favourite teddy.
Your favourite teddy. And someone tells me, Elizabeth, today's a bit of a special day for you. What's happening?
It's my party.
What is that, a birthday party? Just a special party. Fill in the gaps, Mum.
Birthday party.
The birthday party.
Birthdays in a couple of weeks.
2nd of December, and today is her big party, yeah. 6 years of age.
Now, we need to say, Liam, because you're going to take us through the story of what happened with Elizabeth, that you're very happy talking about this with Elizabeth here on the sofa with us. So just tell us a little bit about what happened.
So when Elizabeth was 6 months old, we lived in Qatar in the Middle East. And one day Sinead put Elizabeth in her cot for a nap and left her, came downstairs, and about 30 seconds later heard her crying. So she went back upstairs. It wasn't normal for her to cry, really. And when she got there was smoke coming out from the door. She went in and the room was on fire. Her cot was on fire, Elizabeth was on fire. Air conditioning, a wall-mounted air conditioning unit that had been wired incorrectly had got heated up and sparked and set fire to the whole room. So Sinead got her out and got her as quickly as we could to hospital in Qatar. And it became apparent within an hour that she couldn't be treated there, she wouldn't survive there. So we spent 5 days trying to find somewhere for her to be treated, and thankfully eventually we got to the Children's Hospital in Birmingham, which had what we needed, which was a specialist burns unit for children and a paediatric ICU. So Elizabeth was very severely injured. She was very close to not surviving. She lost nearly all her fingers. She lost one of her ears. She was 60% full thickness burns over most of her body. Lost her hair, some of her nose, and spent the next couple of months in a coma. And then she was ready to go home.
What's the... Since that happened, there's been years, I'm imagining, of reconstructive and surgery. What's the process been?
Because she was so small when she got burnt, skin grafts don't grow with you. So as she grows, and obviously from 6 months up until adulthood, she's got a lot of growing to do, she gets restricted of her limbs. So, like, for example, here, her wrist will start to bend back, and then they'll place a skin graft in that position to kind of bridge the gap. To let her to grow.
How often does that have to be done?
It depends. We've been really lucky. The last kind of year and a half, she hasn't had any surgery. She does a lot of physical activity to avoid hopefully surgery. But in the kind of previous years, I don't know, she's probably had maybe 100 surgeries.
Couldn't help but notice that Elizabeth had written all over her hand.
Yes.
And her
So
face.
what have you been doing? You've been making a mess. You've been writing over your hand, haven't you? Aye. Brendan, do you want to pick up the story a little bit? Because you're doing a lot of work, aren't you? Trying to find out more about, you know, the DNA. Just explain what you're trying to do.
So what the Scar Free Foundation wants to do is to establish a cohort study. That's a fancy name for what we are aiming to do, is to collect the DNA from children who were burned in the UK. A simple mouth swab, very non-invasive. But what that will allow us to do is to profile the genetics of children with burns and then follow those children over the course of 10, 20 years to see what the outcomes are. So we know some people scar better than others, and if we can find the genetic clues as to what makes a good scarer, then we can actually start targeting new treatments much better.
Has there not been any research into this?
So burns research is a Cinderella subject. There's been a dearth of work in this area, unfortunately. A lot of the treatments, despite the amazing work that the NHS doctors and nurses do, and Elizabeth was in fantastic hands in Birmingham, but they're still using very old methods, some of them almost dating from the Victorian era, pressuring scars so they don't grow. it hasn't yet had the revolution in science that it needs.
Something tells me, Liam, that Elizabeth is probably quite inspiring for, other people maybe who've been damaged or whatever, because she's obviously, just fantastic character and just getting on with life.
Yeah, and that's our hope, that other people will see her, I suppose, and see that, they can get out there and get on with life as well. And Elizabeth's been very lucky to meet other people who have been scarred in a bad way, and it helps her to see those people out there.
But I know, Sinead, you do talk about people's reactions.
Yeah.
And that can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah, that's probably, obviously, aside the restriction of movement and the physiotherapy and all the other problems that go with scarring, it's the psychological impact. We can tell her 20,000 times a day how beautiful she is and funny and clever and happy, but it'll take one nasty comment to kind of ruin all that. So we've had lovely comments, but then on the flip side, we've had quite negative experiences as well.
Elizabeth, what's it like seeing yourself on the telly? It's funny, isn't it? Quite odd, isn't it? You look great. Lavender looks well as well. So no more. You said a year and a half operation free.
Yeah, she's due to have some in the new year.
Right.
There's talk of removing one of her toes to put onto her hand to make a thumb, so she's got a bit more movement and kind of able to. Obviously, you can't do anything without a thumb. You can't pick up a cup. You can't, write those things. So to have a thumb would be amazing.
Well, we wish you all the best, and
All
with
the
the work
best,
you're
thank you.
doing, all the
Thank
best
you
as
very
well.
much.
Nothing embarrassing for a fully grown man to be holding a cuddly
a kitty
toy
cat.
in front of millions of people on television. Nothing embarrassing at all.
Lavender suits you very, very well. Thank you so much. And
Really good to
enjoy
see
your
you.
birthday party.
you say?
Have a
as
great
well.
party.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.